This is the Good Neighbor Podcast, the place where local businesses and neighbors come together. Here's your host, Jeremy Wolf.
Well, hello, friends, family, great community, wonderful universe. We are back on the Good Neighbor Podcast. And our guest today is a proud member of our great community. She lives right here in Cooper City. And I am here with Jenny Chapter, who is the owner of Quality Termite and Pest Control. And I've done many interviews on the show, and it's been fascinating to see how many businesses, how many trade businesses, AC, plumbing, restoration, to name a few, and now pest control are female owned and operated. These are industries that are primarily or traditionally owned by men. So it's always interesting to hear the perspective of someone, a female that owns the business. So Jenny, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, of course. And thanks as always, everyone, for tuning in. Learn more about our great community and the businesses that serve us. So Jenny, without further ado, why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about your business, Quality Pest Control?
All righty. Yes, I'm a third generation in the industry. So whole family has been involved for many years, obviously. I've got the grandparents, the aunts, uncles, my parents, brothers, myself. And I love what I do. General pest control is necessary with our climate here, but everything from the
Indeed.
ground up, we do a lot of pre-construction work with builders all the way up to structural fumigation and everything in between.
Nice. And are you serving primarily, I'd imagine, the South Florida market? Like what's your primary service areas?
Primary service areas, the Tri-County area. We are labeled offices in Plantation. So primarily the Tri-County area. However, we do work statewide for builders for pre-construction. On the pre-construction level, there's termite treatments necessary during the building stage. And so we are statewide with regard to that, but primarily Tri-County and love everything right here in my community. I'm happy to serve this area.
Yes, we do live in truly a wonderful community here in Cooper City. And I know you mentioned this is a multi-generational business, so you've always had a hand in this, but I'm curious, talk a little bit about your journey. Like when you were younger, because you were surrounded by this, were you always like, this is what I am going to do in my life? I'm fascinating. Were you like a kid and you were just fascinated with bugs? Or how did evolution occur? How do you end up in the business and kind of taking the baton, if you will, and moving it forward?
Sure. Yeah. I remember, yes, as a child, always having, bug box and collecting, lizards and lizard eggs. And, at 7 years old, I started in what, I laugh about it now, a sand pile filling what we call sand snakes that were utilized years back for the holding and weighting down of tarps for structural fumigation. They've come a long way in the industry since then, where we utilize fire hoses now filled with water, and it's a little easier method. But yeah, at a very young age started. At 14 years old, our summers, we were full-fledged working in the family business. And, I was always surrounded by it. And I'm, my grandmother's office, I remember her sales board, and I would go in and get so excited. There were chalkboards back then. I would write on the chalkboard and do my doodling. And it's been amazing too. My parents over the years, they work together in their business, and you hear the names thrown around, around the dinner table. And me now in the industry, as I've grown through and up, there's a lot of family operated businesses in our industry, and those names that were tossed around then are being tossed around now with the children taking over the businesses. And so it's nice. It's a very friendly industry, and I'm very delved into the Florida Pest Management Association as well as the National Pest Management Association, but love to stay up and up with the latest technology, the latest science. Those products are always evolving, and it's important that you're up and up with the latest because, insects, believe it or not, just like humans, they build up a resistance to product, and you need to rotate base, and the science changes, and you have to be up with the latest techniques and treatment methods as well as equipment. So I love it. I am fascinated. Absolutely.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, the learning of the different insects. And when there's 4 main licenses in the state of Florida for our industry to have. And I remember going for my first license and the studies of it. It really gets amazing when you get into how many species of ants we have and roaches we have. You wouldn't believe the different behavior with the termites. And it is fascinating once you start digging into it. So it's something that I never really thought that I would be enthralled with. I absolutely, I love what I do. I really enjoy, getting out there every day. I like being, in the field, boots on the ground, in the thick of it. And
Like to get in there and make it.
yes, I love I really do. I enjoy my days. Every day is different. Meeting different people while I'm out in the field, I really enjoy the conversations. And as you're going through, doing the inspection process, and there's a lot of things that go on that you wouldn't be aware of, and it's just a trained eye is really important. I couldn't stress enough the importance of having annual inspections on any given property in Florida. If you own property, you must have it inspected every year. Yeah, we're dealing with a species of termite in particular that's not native to Florida, that we're really dealing with them now, and I can see the devastation that's been going on over the last several years, and it's progressively getting worse. And they're here to stay. We share territory, and it's just important that you are proactive and preventing your property. It's a matter of time. It's not if, it's when you are going to get these termites, and the
Yep.
devastation is real. So I personally like to just try to get the education out there to the average property owner on how important it is to protect your biggest investment, being your home, your business. They're here, and
Yep.
the damage is real.
100%. I could actually speak to this from personal experience. I think I mentioned this to you. My old house, when I moved in, it was a big house, and I declined to get the preventative termite treatment because it was a big expense. Ended up getting termites, had a bunch of issues, and ultimately had to get the property tented, and it was a huge project. And it really taught me a good lesson. The thing I've been saying more and more as I get older: an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. It's always best to maintain, especially where we live in Florida. Like you mentioned, the climate here is just so hot and humid. It's really a festering
Right.
ground for creepy crawlies.
Yes.
It's so funny that most kids are terrified by bugs and creepy crawlies, but not you, Jenny Chapter.
No,
You
no.
met him head on. What is the name for the study of insects? It's entomology, right?
Entomology, yes. Entomology is,
My
the study.
scientific brain on that.
Yes, yeah. University of Florida's got a phenomenal department, and
Gators. I'm a rum.
they've got one of the best entomology departments up there, and it's very educational. So
Good stuff.
yeah, I actually I had a stop the other day. I went out, and there was a 5-year-old little girl, and she was so enthralled with it. Again, like you said, not many people are
Oh,
interested.
you're gonna get her under your wing and start grooming her
I
for
loved it.
take over the business.
Yeah, she's got an ant farm on the way to her house right now, and a bug box to go with it. She
Love
was
it.
so it just followed me around. It was just fascinating. I've got 3 daughters that I would love to see a 4th generation someday. And at the end of the day, I really want to support them in their passion. However, not a bad gig to fall back on. To come. So I'm hoping for a 4th generation at some point to follow and continue the legacy on in the industry.
Oh, it's coming. It's coming. It's so funny. I've gotten better as I've gotten older with the creepy crawlies. I used to be terrified of spiders. I still, if I see a cockroach crawling around, I'm still like a little bit taken
Yes.
back. I'm like, oh
Yeah.
gosh, I gotta go kill that thing.
Yeah, you're an occasional invader
I don't like-
sometimes. But if you've got an issue, absolutely, maintenance is important. Just have the preventive maintenance on a regular basis, and you should have no issues.
Yeah.
That.
It's such an irrational fear though of most insects, like these little tiny things. It's more of just a disgust factor. I think people they see it and they're sickened by it. It's just the idea of it crawling on you, but it's
And
really,
fearful.
they can't hurt you. Like,
Right, yeah, and a lot of people are fearful of it, and it's not something that's part of the family.
So one of the reasons why we do the show is in every industry, obviously there's tons of myths and misconceptions, and there's lots of misunderstandings. I know obviously you seeing clients every day and meeting with people in the field. I'm sure you get a lot of that. What are some of the most common things that people misunderstand about your industry or what you do specifically?
Well, one of them would be that you hear all the time, if termites are eating concrete. They don't eat the concrete, but they're the species that we're dealing with. It's not native to Florida. It was introduced here. They have spread exponentially. They've been found now in every county.
And they eat concrete?
They don't eat concrete.
Oh,
They've got a fountain on the front that protrudes an acid-like substance that eats through concrete. And
Oh,
other
it eats
materials.
through.
It
So
does,
they
and they're not
they
eating
chew
on
on the wood. They chew on the wood, and then they excrete a substance that then deteriorates the concrete. Is that what
If there's
happens?
concrete in the area, let's say your slab, they discrete a like acid type substance that eats through the
Ooh.
concrete to give them access to the inside of the structure.
Little buggers.
I say small but mighty. There's millions in a colony, and they're extremely destructive. They're the biggest termite that we deal with. There's a number. There's millions in a colony versus thousands in a drywood colony, which drywood termites are very prevalent in the South. You have them in South California, South Texas, South Florida, and all your tropical islands. So
Hot, humid environments breed them. Yeah.
yes. and drywoods have been here for years and years, and that's typically what you're structurally fumigating. But subterranean are really the bigger threat as far as from a structural standpoint. The damage that they cause and create in a very short term is devastating, and you don't always know that you have them. Even with a trained eye going in and inspecting a property, what happens is they thrive on moisture. They originate from the ground. They come up through stucco and hollow block on the exterior of a property, or plumbing penetrations on the internal, or they can disintegrate that concrete, gaining access. It could also be just a settlement crack in the slab. At the end of the day, I really want to get the education out there to any property owner on how devastating it is, because I've seen it firsthand with boots on the ground, where I've got husbands and wives. They were sitting watching television on the couch in the evening, and then the ceiling fell down, and termites. They had no idea they had termites, and
Oh,
that's
jeez.
that's how they operate. And the more devastating of it all is not just the treatment cost is something that needs to be taken care of, but no insurance company will cover the damage. So the rebuilding a home is just, I mean, absolutely, people just don't budget for that.
Yeah.
It's an unexpected expense, and it's a real issue, and we're seeing it more and more. And yeah, I personally I just want to get the education out there, and you can learn a lot online as well. So I would, definitely, encourage anyone to just do a little bit of research online with the Formosan subterranean termite in particular, because that's what we're dealing with. And they're a blanket over the South. There's no hiding from them. They swarm in the air as well, just like drywood termites will swarm in the air. Usually early evening hours. If you're out walking your dog, look at the street lights. You're going to find them. Your lights around your house, you're going to find them. Some preventative measures that are very important with regard to the subterranean termite, which are the most devastating, and what we're really finding a lot of at this time, would be water and wood are not your friends. So mulch up against the structure is not recommended. If you pull that out at least 1 foot from the structure, you can use pea rock, sod, soil, rubber mulch, anything other than wood. Also, AC drip lines, notorious. You think just a little bit of water.
Just a little water over a long time will build up and create
They find it. Believe it, they
environment.
thrive
Yeah.
on it. They require a lot of moisture, the subterranean termites, whereas the drywood don't necessarily. So we're dealing with a lot of species of termites, and we're ground zero right here. And as you know, they started in Hollywood, Hallandale Beach, and Dania Beach area. I'm going to tell you that it's been several years, and a couple of decades now that they've been here. They have just spread wildly, and
Spreading like wildfire.
absolutely. Areas we've never seen, but the last 2 years, our industry, we really, and prior to that, I mean, we've always known the hot pocketed areas, but nobody's safe anymore. We're popping in areas, and we're pretty friendly industry, so we're calling you and whoa, Formosan's here, and there's other species of subterranean as well. We're dealing with their crossbreeding. We've got Asian termites, we've got conehead. They're all just as devastating, and they're here, and it's a real threat. So I just know the importance of having some type of a preventative, and it's recommended
Mhm.
every 5 years that you have a preventative treatment performed both for subterranean and drywood. The subterranean preventative consists of in-ground treatment every foot around the perimeter in the
They
in the
like
soil.
drill little holes in the base, the perimeter, and put some kind of treatment in there, right?
We do that for an infestation, absolutely. Yes, every foot around the perimeter, we're popping about a half-inch gauge hole using a long rod, pumping with product, or plug and patch after. We also, in conjunction with that, if you've got an infestation, are utilizing the bait stations. Baits, termite baits, again, they've got science evolved, and in fact, have found a great success with regards to the bait stations if they find the bait. So, some room for error there, which is why it's important to, in conjunction with that in-ground treatment around the perimeter, protecting the property, to also place bait stations every 10 feet around the structure. And one feeding will take a colony out, which is fabulous. We want to see a feeding on a bait station, and having them checked on an annual basis, having your properties, whether it be a commercial, residential, industrial, have it inspected every year. There's no reason not to have the inspection. They're free inspections. And I kind of make a little joke about it. We go to the doctor every year for ourselves. Take your home as your biggest investment. Have it checked every year.
Yeah, absolutely. Goodness, I had a thought in my mind. It escaped me. It's going to come back in just a second. I know it is. Bait stations, termites. See, I told you earlier, sometimes I lose my train of thought. Okay, here it is. Just came back. You hear that, everybody out there? This was important.
Mhm.
You cannot get, if I understand correctly, you cannot get insurance for termites through your
No.
homeowner's policy. But what you can do is you could reach out to Jenny and have them come over and do an inspection, and then come up with a plan. And that's the insurance. It's getting
Absolutely.
preventative
Yeah.
termite treatment for the biggest investment you have, which is your house. So don't be stupid like I was and wait and have to get your house tented for $7,000 to $8,000 or whatever the hell I paid.
Yes. It's extremely important, and most people don't realize. If you look through your insurance, that the insurance doesn't cover it, and it's devastating. It's something that the normal property owner wouldn't know. When I tell you the destruction is real, I mean you're like the first little pig. I mean they're the studs all the way up to your trusses, and
Well,
you're having collapsing, and it's a whole rebuild. So the
yeah,
devastation.
so I wanted to ask you about that. So, because you've dealt with this for a while, obviously, you've had all sorts of experiences. Is there like what happens when you have subterranean and they eat so much of the structure that it needs to be replaced? How do they go in there and fix that, or do you have to redo the whole house? Like how
And a lot of times, yes, they're the devastation.
it's gone,
Some of
done.
the contractors that I talk with, they say, "Oh my gosh, the termites! They don't know much about termite, but they do know that when they go in there to do a remodel, or sometimes they're buying a home and they're gonna, it's only being held up by the caulking and the pay that gets and when they take it
Sheesh.
down, it's shredded. I mean, there's no virtually no stud left. They're gone. And I had one of those that you just had. I was onto something and I forgot about it, but the
Oh, it
prevention.
happens to the best of
Yes,
us.
yes, yes. Well, a ton of things going through your mind. As far as preventative treatments, and even if you've got an infestation, we come out and perform a treatment. We do put a termite bond on that property. So no, you don't have the insurance through the insurance company, but you do have us. So if we do a treatment, you do have a 1 year renewal that's annually renewable every year thereafter. So it's just important to keep up on it. Have it looked at every year, like I said, and doing that treatment and having us in place, you're protected. You're protected. You're protecting the structure. We're coming out. We're putting eyeballs on it on a at least an annual basis. And if you need us anywhere in between, you're covered for that. You call us. You see something that even remotely concerning, it concerns it. Keep it off to the side. Let us look at a sample. Don't discard it. If you see
Mhm.
something, even if you put it in a baggie or just sweep it off to the side, don't want to touch it. Whatnot. Photos if necessary. You can always send some photos. But the best thing is just having a sample of what it is. A diagnosis is the most important thing, so that we know what we're dealing with, so that we can treat it properly.
Yeah. All too often, us as human beings, we tend to put things off until there's a big problem. Like we don't take the preventative measures. We don't get these inspections done for our investments, and we're just like, we just wait until there's an issue, and then oftentimes it's too late, or it just becomes a huge cost nightmare. So always important
Well, you
to
don't
have that
always
on your mind.
realize, yeah, the different things. I mean, there's everything from, we're having the roof inspector and different things. You don't think of that. I mean, everybody gets busy in their everyday life, and we've all,
Yep,
we're all
life
hustle.
happens.
Yes, it does. And so, just important. Again, I can't stress enough that we are dealing with a species that we've not always had here. It's not native to here. It was introduced here. It protects your property, because it is absolutely a matter of time. It's not an if, it is when. And it's much cheaper to have a preventative treatment than it is to have a treatment once you've had a full blown infestation. And now you're looking at, subterranean termites. What's fascinating about the Formosan to me, I say small,
The
but
Formosan.
yeah, that's what we're dealing with now. Years back, we had an eastern subterranean termite. They're almost obsolete at this point. We've not seen them close to 9 to 10 years. I mean, they Formosan have come in and absolutely taken over. And when treating for them, they have the ability. If you've got a roof leak, or a window shaker AC unit in a wall, or anything that's putting off a little bit of condensation, it doesn't take much moisture for them to thrive and survive. They originate from the ground. They're 24 hours a day, up and down, millions in a colony. If they find a water source above ground, they have the ability to make what's called a satellite colony, that which separates them from the ground. And at that point, they're building a carton nest, is what we call it. And they have the ability to thrive and survive from that carton nest, and not go down to the ground any longer. So you can put in ground treatment and bait stations. You can kill what's in ground. However, if you have that carton nest, which a lot of times can be behind a wall, on the subfloor, up in the roof area, inaccessible areas, naked to the eye, you then have to, in conjunction with the in-ground treatment, structurally fumigate the property, but 4 times the amount of fumigate gets shot into that tent to kill the Formosan termite. So just to give you an idea of what a super termite it is, it's drywood termites. You've seen the tents over the years, and right now the circus is in town. You're going to start seeing these tents go up and down all over the place. This is our season. We just mid-March, usually after a good rain, that humidity is what draws them out. They start that swarming process, and they're a blanket over the South. You are not hiding from them. They're everywhere. So, we're doing a lot of structural fumigations for drywood, but again, when you're dealing with that subterranean, which we're seeing more and more and more. I mean, it's just wild how much they
Yeah.
have spread. And again, I mean, South Florida's been here for a long time. I look at the integrity of the structure being compromised. I mean, personally myself, I get afraid of high rises, at times is because I know what they can do. And as long as they're taking the preventative measures, water again, a lot of the homes along the waterways, your fingers of Fort Lauderdale, all of Hollandale, Hollywood,
Prime
they
areas.
have, yeah, are hot areas, but they're, Riverland Road, again, waterways, that moisture is really what they thrive on. And we're seeing, definitely there's areas that are more inundated than others, but nonetheless, they're out to 27 and everywhere in between. They're north or south. I mean, we've never seen them in these areas, and they are absolutely everywhere. We again in the industry have there's been lots of talks and lots of segments and programs on this species of termite in particular. It's just been a absolute devastating. Again, everyone does something to make this world go round, and educating, anyone that's not in the pest control industry or termite, that doesn't know much about them. I want to get that education out there on what we're dealing with. There is no joke
So
on this.
important. Yeah.
Extremely important. It's extremely important to me. I hate seeing the devastation every day when I'm out there with a normal family, living life, and we all have bills, and we're, with kids, and life happens, and to have something so unexpected, as a ceiling collapse, and you're looking at your trusses, and you're going, I mean, it's overwhelming, and especially when it comes to that insurance, just take a hike, and
Yeah.
to rebuild a home is just. I've had some customers, they're at a loss, and it's devastating. And what do I do? I mean, do I just sell it as is? Do I try to get contractors in? And here in South Florida, trying to find contractors to suture up, fix, and repair.
Ugly stuff, ugly
Not
situation,
fun. It's
and
stressful.
totally avoidable. Totally avoidable.
Absolutely. Yes.
Uh,
Yes. Absolutely avoidable. Just, again, get a quick look see every year. Just have that inspection done and preventative. I just have the
yeah.
prevent done to prevent you a lot of times from needing a structural fumigation with regard to the drywood termite. And pest control, I don't want to leave pest control out. Pest control is important too. We have, everything is blooming, breeding, swarming this time of year. So ants will swarm as well. So you may have ant activity, lighting around the exterior of a home. All insects are attracted to light, especially those termites. They at Home Depot or Lowe's, and I tell my customers this as well. In the lighting section, they have bulbs that specifically say dusk and dawn or bug light directly on it. It's got a yellow hue to it. They do come in LED form. I highly recommend put those on the exterior of the house so they don't attract the insects. You still get the outdoor lighting, but you're not attracting the insects. There's some like little preventative measures that you can take in conjunction with, again, making sure that your AC drip lines and your gutters are all, put a PVC extension on that AC drip line if need be, so that you don't have water sitting, pooling up against the structure, because that's really a big issue. And those are just little things that the average homeowner can take as far as trying to prevent. As far as preventative on a pest control standpoint, a lot of times you'll see you've got palms and trees that are hanging over the ledge or up on the rooftop. There's a lot of green measures that you can take prior to, needing to put product to prevent rodent issues in the attic space, ants from coming in. Cut those limbs back so that they're not a highway for them to get into the property.
Hmm.
Checking your
You're
soffit vents. Yeah, soffit vents are another thing. You got, rodents every year. I mean, especially in the cooler months, are coming into the attic space. You don't realize what goes on in the attic. We do a full inspection. We come out and the whole interior of that house gets looked at. We're looking at plumbing areas, which is a prime area for the subterranean termite in the attic space, from insulation not being up to par to rodent activity where you've got contamination. We do extraction, a full extraction, attic restoration, where we take all of the contaminated insulation out, we sanitize the attic space, we blow in fresh, bringing it up to code, utilizing a product that is laced with boric acid, which is non-toxic, but it helps aid against ants, roaches, termites. Rodents don't prefer to nest in it. So it's a wonderful insulation. It's the density of it is just, the coverage is one of the top notch. It's a great product. And then the fact that it's laced with boric acid is just a huge plus. It's just why we do it.
You are truly a wealth of knowledge. But you know what they say, Jenny? All work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. So what do you like to do for fun when you're not working in your downtime? Do you have any downtime, or you seem like you're a mile a minute? You're a wealth of knowledge with this stuff.
I've always been told that I'm a live wire, no doubt. I run quick. I love the outdoors. I like being outdoors. I have 3 daughters. 2 of them are away. One is in Jacksonville. She was an FSU girl. She graduated with her yes, and in communications, but she's in Jacksonville now. Yeah, and I've got the middle one up in Tallahassee, and then I've got a 12-year-old that resides here in Cooper City with me and attends the Cooper City school. So I really love my time when I've got Addison, my youngest, and her friends. We have a lot of fun. We're constantly running. we're not, our
Constantly
pace.
running around or
Right.
constantly running, like running?
No. Yeah, I'm not good at my stamina. I'm not great at running. I wish
Okay,
yeah.
you caught my interest when you said running. I'm a runner. I said, oh, you
Are
run
you?
too?
I see the to run all the time. I'm sure you're familiar with that to run, but yeah, no, I would like to get to the gym a little more. I definitely was heavily into the gym as the minute I could drive, I was at the gym every day, and yeah, I cut that out a bit ago, and I'm feeling it now. I'm getting a little older. It's important to take care of yourself too. But as far as running, no, we're staying busy. We do water
Running
pumps
around,
or
staying busy. Yeah.
yeah,
Well, she's 12. She's in sixth grade,
sure
right?
is, yeah,
At,
yeah.
at Pioneer, yeah.
She is, yeah, a pioneer. Yeah, she went to Embassy Elementary here. Off of all three of my girls went there. Love
Mm.
Coach Lynch. Coach Lynch was one of my favorite in Caroline, and yeah, it was great school,
What a
wonderful school.
great community we live in. My daughter is in seventh grade at Pioneer, and
Mhm.
she's about to turn 13. So that's
Uh,
getting
Fun
it's
age.
getting interesting.
Yes, no, I
That's
can
the word.
imagine.
The word I'll use is interesting. I'll leave it at that.
I've got
I'll let
they're
I'll let the
all of mine.
listeners think about what
Yes,
that means.
absolutely. They're all girls. Mine, 25, 21, and 12. So yes, you're hitting that age. Yeah, right at 13, 14, things start changing a lot with
Oh
just
yeah.
you got to kind of tiptoe sometimes with the yes, they're
I,
fun.
I will say though, she's been doing a lot better than she has her moments. So, and again,
Wow.
I'll leave it at that without getting too deep into it.
These are the meltdown ages.
Sure.
Got to work through it. Yeah.
Indeed. Okay, so one of the things I've noticed, the older I get in life, I realized like when I was younger and I was experiencing some kind of difficult, challenging experience, I used to get overwhelmed and frustrated and like ask myself, why is this happening to me? Also, but the older I get, the more I realize that in many cases, those experiences are by far and away the most valuable. And that's what really helps you grow and progress through life. Looking back through your journey, is there something that comes to mind? Was there a one life defining moment, or maybe not that, just something that happened throughout your journey that kind of fits that bill, where in the moment you thought that the world was ending, you thought the walls were closing in, there was nowhere to go, you'd never recover from it, but now sitting here today, you could kind of look back like, man, I'm damn glad I went through that because it brought me to where I am today.
It's funny you say. I think as life brings challenges, we're always going through challenges and getting through. And you look back and you say, "My gosh, how did I get through that?" But yeah, just facing it head on and just get out there. You listen, and you can only control so much, and try not to let it consume you. If you can't control it, don't allow it to control you. Just I'm pretty good at letting things just roll off the shoulder. But as far as in the industry wise, things that I said, "Oof, did I make a move when I decided in 2005 to go off on my own, take my first state license in the industry?" And it's nerve wracking. I'm a young
Yep.
mother, and you're starting a business, and the bills are real, and you learn a lot. Everything from insurances to licensing, and you're running, and you kind of have a little bit of self doubt. Can I do this? Can I do it? It just keep jumping. The more you put in is what you're going to get out, and I just believe in just keep rolling forward. And yeah, I've had challenging jobs at times. I get out. I love a challenge when it comes to the industry. At the end of the day, I've got a Rolodex in that phone, and of a lot of great peers in the industry, manufacturers, distributors that you can call upon. If there's, I feel like I'm pretty well adept to different situations out in the field. But the fact that you have them in your back pocket, and if they need to come out on site for any reason to just look at and say, you know what, this is one that we've been battling. I've looked at every avenue that I know, and just to get their insight too. Again, just staying up and up with the latest in the industry, the latest in the science, the latest in the product and the treatment methods. It's crucial. But again, you've got people, and I love that it's a friendly industry. And I love to help others prosper, go and grow. And if they want it, I'm supportive of it. Even if they're an employee of mine, I love my employees. I've got a wonderful team. I believe that you're only as good as your employees. You can't do everything on your own, and delegation is something that I've always, had a struggle with. I want, my grandmother is a world of wisdom. She was in this industry in the 60s and 70s, and I still look up to her to this day. She's a wonderful powerhouse of a woman, of knowledge, and I just love having the conversations. And she's always asking, have you built out the pest control? Yeah, and the reoccurring, because she was big on pest control. And I kind of laugh because there are so many different industry departments in this industry. Like I said, 4 licenses to have. One would be just your general household pest control, which is for general pests and rodents, to maintain. You've also got fumigation, which is for structural. You've got a termite license, which is for all other methods of termite treatment, especially the subterranean, in-ground. I mean, there's different ways of treating these termites. You don't treat them all in one run. You can't just bag a house and think that, okay, we're taking care of it. Yeah, you need to identify that species and treat it properly. And then there's a lawn and ornamental license to have. And once you gain all four of those, you're considered a full ticket. And my mother gained a full ticket, and I too gained a full ticket. In doing so, my father loved the pre-construction work with a lot of builders throughout the state, which I love as well. There's a treatment on the soil that is mandated before pouring concrete on any structure. So whether it be a Publix or a Wawa or a high rise or a single family home, all of those communities that they're building, they have to have a termite treatment prior to the pouring of concrete. So that's one side. My father loved that. My uncle loved the structural fumigation. My grandmother loved the pest control, the reoccurring. My aunt had a lawn and ornamental was her niche with it. I happen to love termite. Termite is just, something that we're dealing with, and the fact that I can help people to protect their biggest investment and get the treatment necessary out there and fix the problem. I get great gratification out of that. And again, when it comes to my people, I just love growing and going. One of my best employees, George, he's wonderful.
Shout out to George.
Yes, been with us for about 7 years now, and he started as a dishwasher. As he came in, sometimes you love to bring somebody in that has zero knowledge because you can train them. You're ready, so you don't want to have any bad habits come in. And he's really taken to it, been interested since day one. He's really put the heart in. He takes care of the customers. He really takes great pride. The customers absolutely love him. I get more 5 stars from George, and I hate to lose him, but you know what? He's earned his wings, and I'd love to go him and grow him. So he's gone for his first exam. I signed him up for a crash course and for the study material, and set him up to a POPCA, where we a testing site, and said, listen, you're going to go for this one first. It's the most versatile, and then we're going to shoot you for the next one and the next, and then another one. If he has aspirations to have his own business one day, I am all supportive. But we're not competitors. We're friends in this industry. We really, what one company may not do, we may, vice versa. I do hold the license for lawn and ornamental. I don't prefer lawn and ornamental, so we don't operate in it. But I absolutely, I've got a lawn guy, and hey, it's yours. So it's a great industry. I really, there's enough work for everyone. I have that kind of mentality with it, and we all have to work to survive.
That's the mentality to have, right? It's abundance mindset, right? Rising tide lifts all boats. There should be more collaboration in all industries, right? Like competition is going to happen, but there should be constructive competition, right? Where everybody's trying to get better and trying to collaborate. Like, oh, we lost you, Jenny. There you are.
So I love what I do.
Just lost you for a second. Yeah. Very, very cool. Okay, so before we wrap up here, what would be one thing that you wish our listeners would know about your business? You got one thing. If there's one thing you wanted them to know about the business, what would that be?
The one thing that that I'm so passionate about right now, not necessarily about the business, it's just about how important it is to protect your property, period. You must protect your property. It's only getting worse. These termites are not going away, and they're an absolute threat. That would be something that I've been trying, through Inside of South Florida. We've done some segments with them, and they're just trying on radio, trying to get the education out there to the average property owner. They don't realize what we're dealing with, and I don't want them
awareness.
It's I don't want them, finding out the wrong way, because it's devastating.
Yeah. Man, again, I can't reiterate enough. I said this earlier. You have homeowners out there. Your home is for most, it's your biggest asset, right?
Yes.
Prevention. If you haven't gotten an inspection recently, be sure to reach out to Jenny and Quality Termite and Pest Control and get that scheduled. So if you're out there, or I don't know, if you're sitting around, you're seeing tons of roaches floating around the house, pick up the phone and call. Get somebody to come out and take a look.
Yeah. And as far as from the business, real quick, what I love is that we've got a beautiful team. We're a very family oriented operation. Fun family events with the employees. We're tight knitted, and kind of old school in my ways. I like paper, pencils, files. We absolutely have adapted to the new way of doing life with the computers, and all the ladies understand. But I'm very big on having a live individual answer our phones. I don't like the push 1, push 5. We're kind of old school in those aspects.
That's important.
Very, very
nobody likes to call up a business when they're having like a crisis issue, like they're having an infestation of bugs, and you got a recording. It's like press 1. It's like, give me a human being. I need somebody to come out here and handle this.
Yes, right. right. And you're in a panic, it's something that especially
Yeah.
when they're swarming, because when they swarm, internally, it's very frightening for a lot of people. It's just something that they've not experienced before, and it's scary to some people. So,
God, my daughter will see like a little tiny nothing of like a fly, and she's like, I'm like,
yeah.
what's that? And I go out, she's like a little tiny fly. I'm like, Emma, please. You're like
Yeah.
1,000 times bigger than the hundreds. It's ridiculous.
Yes. Well, as into children, I can imagine I could see that. Yeah.
Okay. So last thing, how can our listeners learn more? Anyone out there that would like to reach out to you to get an inspection, to get something treated? What's the best way to connect with you? Maybe share your phone number, your website, social media. What's the best way to reach you guys?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd say by telephone. Telephone is wonderful. Our ladies are well versed with everything in this. And if you've got questions there, they're really, really good. But just calling the office, scheduling an inspection. Again, there's free of charge, no obligation. Just have us come out and do a look see and make sure you're doing that every year. It's a necessary. We're here in Florida. We share the territory with these insects and termites in particular. I can't stress you how important it is just to have that home inspected. So, calling the office at 954-842-9411. Again, our ladies are great. They get us on a schedule, and out we go. You can check out our website at qualitypestinc.com. And, but yeah, I would say by telephone would be the best means of getting an inspection scheduled and the quickest.
Excellent. And we will, of course, drop a link in the description below to all of your contact information for those that missed that. Other than that, thanks everyone for tuning in. I was happy to have you along for this ride. If you found this content useful, maybe you live in Cooper City, let us know in the comments. We always love to hear your feedback, what's on your mind, and who knows, maybe you'll end up on the podcast in the future. If you live in the community and you own a business, come tell us your story. We're all interested and we'd love to hear it. Jenny, it was a pleasure getting the opportunity to learn more about what you do for our great community, your backstory. So truly, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you, Jeremy. I really appreciate the opportunity. Thank you. And
All
Cooper
right.
City right now, the tents are going up. Cooper City's not.
But this isn't town, baby. Let's go.
You're going to see those tents going up and down. Sir, in my community, I know where I certainly we're
Good for business, not so good for homeowners, but
no.
good to have you here handling this for
Thank you.
people.
Thank
All
you
right,
very
guys.
much, Jeremy. I appreciate the opportunity.
Of course, everyone take care. Have a wonderful day and stay safe out there. We only got this one life to live. Let's live it to the fullest. Everyone take care and have a blessed day. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the Good Neighbor Podcast, Cooper City. To nominate your favorite local business to be featured on the show, go to gnpcoopercity.com. That's gnpcoopercity.com or call 954-231-3170.